Hello YouTube. In this video we're going to take another look at this HP ProLiant Microsever. I'm going to do a couple of things to it. First of all, it has to do something with the drives. I'll just pull out the drive that's currently in here. It's still warm because I just turned the server off. This is a Western Digital Raptor 150 gig SATA drive. I will be keeping this in the server though, but it currently has Citrix Zen server on it, version 7.1. And the other drive that I have in here, I think it's this bay. Yeah, there we go. This is just a regular run-of-the-mill 7.2K Toshiba consumer drive. I will also be keeping this in the server, but I'm just pulling it out just to show some things. And the last drive is actually not in the server right now, but it is right here, the Western Digital Blue drive. The server has been running with this particular drive in it, just this one, for a couple of, well actually since I got the server, and this drive has been used for game storage on my main computer for a while. And it has been a NAS drive since about, well, when I built my first NAS, this drive was the only thing in it. So I think I've had this drive for about 4 years now. Well, that's not really possible. I think I've had it for about 3 years, because the date on the drive clearly says it's from November 2013. I think I bought it in like January or February of the next year. And it's been going very well, but I decided to retire this for server duties, mainly because I just don't know. This thing has been running every single day almost since when I bought it new. So what I'm going to do, like I said, I'm going to keep the Raptor drive. That will be fast storage for VMs that need a bit more IOPS. I will be using this as the bulk storage drive. So we'll migrate all of the VMs that are currently on the Western Digital Blue over to the Toshiba drive. And I will be moving back to VMware ESXi, which is installed on this microSD card. So now I've basically tested every single major hypervisor operating system on this little server here. Sorry about the noise. That's just what you kind of get for this. So I've run about every single hypervisor operating system under the sun. I've used Linux KVM with Proxmox. Proxmox was the operating system and the interface to manage it. I've used VMware ESXi, which is actually what I basically am specialized in by now, because that's the only thing that really was mentioned while I was learning for my IT service management bachelor, which I'm very close to completing right now. The last assignment that I have to do before I can get my diploma has basically been turned in, so we just have to wait for that. And after that I can actually call myself a proper IT guy, so that's pretty good. But yeah, I've run ESXi on here, that's why I'm putting back on it. I've run Citrix Zen server on it, I've run Microsoft's Hyper-V. And that basically concludes all the major players, really. I mean, KVM is big in the Linux world, ESXi is big in the enterprise world, so is Citrix Zen server, and Hyper-V is getting there. It's not quite, doesn't have quite that high of an adoption rate just yet, but it's certainly getting there. The main thing I hated about Hyper-V was the fact that you can only virtualize the very latest of Windows operating systems. And that's really not convenient in the enterprise, because there are usually some legacy applications that you need to maintain and support. And the problem is, if you cannot run those operating systems properly in your environment, you're essentially fucked. Or you have to use a different kind of hypervisor. You can't just get an old physical server to run your old applications until eternity, because running servers for just one task is extremely inefficient. But anyway, that little rant aside, let's put the drives back in. Let's put the Western Digital Blue drive back where it belongs. I think I'm gonna put the Raptor in the last slot, because it also is the hottest running drive and I don't want them to infect each other too much heat-wise, because this server is not really all that great when it comes to cooling capacity. So that's definitely something to keep in mind, especially because the processor that I'm running is no longer that 35-watt chip that came in it originally, because I of course upgraded that to a 3rd generation Core i3. It is running the i3 3220, I think. Let's put the last drive in. So it was a little bit, you have to nudge it in a little bit, these servers. Okay, now that's back together. So all we basically need to do right now is to hook it back up, boot it up, and then verify that it's actually booting into ESXi, not from the internal hard drive, to start moving the data store from the Western Digital Blue drive to the Toshiba drive. And then I can format the Western Digital drive as again the Raptor drive, so we can start using that for the more critical or more storage-hungry VMs in terms of performance and IOPS. So we'll take a look at that in a little bit. Alright, we're ready for our first boot up, after doing the sort of upgrades, I guess. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens on the screen. I'll zoom in. Just need to make sure that it's going to boot from the SD card again. For those of you that are not really IT people, it's of course pretty much standard fare to run your hypervisor from an SD card instead of a hard drive. Because quite frankly, solid state storage is a bit more durable, and if your drives die, you don't lose your hypervisor OS and all your settings. All you basically have to do is add some new drives. And if you have more than one hypervisor in your environment, you can just do a vMotion in terms of VMware stuff and move all your VMs back to the host that had failed drives in it. Or you can make storage pools that are shared anyway, so you don't have to lose anything. Everything is possible in the enterprise space as long as you throw enough money at it. For now I'm just going to see what it auto boots to. There we go, 3 drives, with digital 1 terabyte. 1 terabyte Toshiba is detected, and the Raptor drive as well. Excellent. And now we're just waiting for it to say booting ESXi. Yep, loading VMware hypervisor. Good. And the fans spin down as well. Okay, well that's good to go. I'm just going to go downstairs. I'm going to set up the recording software, and we'll take it from there, and we can start doing the remainder of the work, which is moving over all of the VMs from one data store to another and re-registering them with the ESXi server. Okay, we're at the desktop now. I connected to the ESXi server. There are still a couple of services that were set to auto start, so I'll have to disable these servers. Turn down the volume of Windows in the background. I'm using the old client because at the time I started recording this, I was pretty sure, well, I am pretty sure right now that the interface of the website, the web interface, is not quite up yet, so. Okay, let's go and take a look at our storage here. Right now we only have the ISO NFS share, which is connected properly. And we have the SATA disk 0, which is the Western Digital drive. What we're going to do is we're going to add storage. We've got 2 options here. We've got the Toshiba 1 terabyte drive and the Western Digital. So we'll just go in there. Call this SATA 70.2K 1 terabyte. Use all available space. And finish. It's going to create the data store, as you can see here in the recent tasks. So while we're waiting for that, we can add more storage, I think, or we just have, no, we're just gonna have to wait for a little bit, I guess. One thing at a time, that's the rule with computers, and it's the same with servers, really. So I'll just take a drink here while we wait for that. Okay, it's completed, so now we can create another disk for this one. It has a couple of partitions on it. They were all used for Zen server. This configuration will delete the current disk layout, that's what we want. And we're going to call this let's see what. Yeah, okay, and we're gonna call this say that 10K 150 gig because this is a 10K drive. And create that. Okay, so now we've got a couple of data stores right here. We've got the ISO, which is my NAS, which is 2 terabytes. We've got two 1 terabyte drives here, and the 150 gig fast storage drive. Ideally, you would have to run SSDs in a server like this. It should be pretty fun, but that just costs a lot, and I just prefer to use SSDs in systems that I need on a daily basis. This is just a test environment, so there's no real need to do any of this. What we need to do now is basically unregister all of these VMs, but I'm just going to do it the lazy way. Let's just take a look at the data store here. I don't think we can migrate it directly. So we probably can get away with is just copying all the data over. So what we need is to select all of the folders that we need. These are all the VMs. Just make sure there's none unaccounted for. We have the domain controller, yes. The PC01, Windows 2000 server, the deployment server, monitoring server 1, monitoring server 2, yeah, okay, PC02, and the VoIP server on top, yep. Yep, we've got everything. Just need to double check that. What we're now going to do is going to move a file from this data store to another location accessible. Moving this specified. Yep, I know we need to re-add these. We're going to be migrating all of them to the new, well, new-ish Toshiba drive, which is almost 2 years old now, but that doesn't really matter. Okay, that's that data store, and let's start moving them. I could have just downloaded all of the files to my desktop and then copied them back again to the new drive with the new installation or stuff like that. But this is much quicker because, quite frankly, I don't have to do this over the network. The network link up there is just power line, and the average transfer speed is about 3 megabytes per second. So that's going to take a long ass time, and I don't really have that much time for stuff like that. So this is going to take quite a long time as well, because we have to copy over, let's see, how much is that? It's about 120 gigs worth of data that has to be copied over. So, you know, it is just regular SATA 2 in that server. It's not SATA 3. At least the speeds that it can run at. It is SAS, but you know, the internal connection just supports SATA drives, as far as I know. Oh wow, 406. Oh god, it's going up. Please remember, don't tell me this is actually done over the network. Jesus Christ. Okay, it went down. But that's still like 6 hours. 6 to 7 hours. 8 hours. Almost. Oh dear. Well, I guess you catch my drift that I'm going to end the recording here. And I'll get back once the virtual machines have been moved over. Once they have, we can get back to stuff as usual. And we can continue setting this up, re-registering them with the server, and making sure that we can power them back up so we can get everything up and running that we need. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. Now we're a couple hours later. It's finished copying over the files for the virtual machines. Let's go into the storage tab again. It hasn't refreshed yet, so let's do that. Alright, well, that's a lot more data than was on the drive originally, so that's interesting. Oh well. It shouldn't matter that much. So what we're going to do now, because if we try to run a virtual machine, it will say, well, I don't know where this is. As you can see here, it can't find a configuration file. So what we're going to do is remove all of them from inventory. And no, there's no easier way of doing that, unfortunately. Okay, let's go back into the data store, and now we can re-register the virtual machines by looking at the VMX file. Add to inventory. And now it's being re-added. And we do this for all the other virtual machines as well. To inventory. This is a Vista virtual machine because Vista is going out of support. I figured it would be fun to make a sort of Vista time capsule virtual machine, so that's what that machine is all about. Of course, I want my deployment server back up so I can easily install more servers that way. I have no freaking clue what IP I give this machine. It's either 102 or 103, I totally forgot. I think it's 102. I'll make it that. And if it wasn't, then I'll find out and I'll have to re-edit that. That's no biggie. Anyway, let's go back to... It's called the Win2K server. I know this is in fact LFS02. I've been testing out Zen server for about a week and a half now, so I have forgotten some things about the virtual machines that I had in here because I didn't migrate all of them. I only migrated the VoIP server. The last one is the DC, the domain controller. Okay, let's finish that. They're all registered, it says. So, well, let's fire up the domain controller. See what happens. It's not acting like it's really liking this very much. It says register completed, but apparently it's not quite completed because it is actually hanging. But I'm interested in the fact that I don't really get why it's now suddenly taking up like 250 gigs. Maybe it actually copied over the full size of the disks instead of just the raw data that was on the drive, just to make sure. That would explain why it took, well, like almost 4 hours to complete the entire operation. But yeah, that machine is not powering on. I'm just going to log back into the vSphere client just to make sure. Because this is what kind of happens if you still use the C client on vSphere 6.5. It throws some weird errors and bugs at you because it's not really supported anymore. But I'm just old school like that. Okay, yeah, that's why. I was wondering. I copied it. There we go. Well, it appears to be booting up. Good. I'm not going to boot every single one of the machines up now, because quite frankly, the server will need to be powered down again to take out the Western Digital Blue drive. So I'm just double checking here to see whether this machine still boots, because that gives me some comfort that all the other ones will boot as well. Just copying the machines over should never really be a problem. as long as you do it from the same machine. If you copy them, or if you download the files to your client and then re-upload them to the server, that might give you some problems due to packet loss or something like that. But in this case, just copying the raw data over from one drive to another should be fine, as long as the drive does not have any bad sectors or anything like that. Oh dear, it thinks it got sysprepped. That's not good. Or maybe it's normal, I don't know. I haven't, like I said, I haven't touched this machine in a while. But I don't think that's normal. Applying computer settings. Please don't tell me you sysprepped yourself, please. Because that would genuinely mean that I'm going to ditch Server 2016 altogether if it just fucks up like that all of a sudden. Server 2012 R2 is much more stable anyway. But oh well. Well, while we're waiting for that, let's just boot up for shits and giggles the PC01. Of course, we need to open this. We can verify that we copied it, and then we can let that boot up. Okay, came back up, good. Let's make sure, let's just log into the machine. Come on, thank you. Let's see if that's working. And let's boot that one up for good measure as well. I copied it. Thank you very much. So that's booting up now. Okay, the XP virtual machine finished booting up. It is part of the domain. I should probably disable the DNS resolving to the internet, but I just can't be bothered. It has antivirus built in, so I installed that in this machine. This is also a sort of XP time capsule, work in progress of course. Just some software that I used to use when XP was still, well, pretty new. Office 2003. Got everything else updated nicely. I've got an old version of Winamp that I used to use back in the day. Not much else really. Still work in progress, like I said. It has an up-to-date web browser, which is Mozilla Firefox. The latest build that will run on XP. So that's pretty good as well. Alright. The domain controller is finished booting up. Sort of. It's close enough anyway. That hardware is being thrashed right now, and I'm gonna move some machines over to that faster drive anyway. Probably the domain controller, the WDS, so the deployment server, and the VoIP server. Once that's done, everything should be hunky-dory. Okay, well, we finished doing the maintenance now on the HP ProLiant Microsever Generation 8. We replaced the hard drives. We migrated over using the lazy way, or lazy technique. We migrated the virtual machines over from one data store to another, and we verified that they're working again, so I can get back to using ESXi 6.5 on this server. I hope you enjoyed this video. I thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. And before I turn this video off, I just want to ask if you want to see more server-related videos, and if so, what do you want to see? And, well, you can always send in any submissions or video ideas to the email address listed in the last card in the outro.